If you're going through a non-Muslim book or video or course or something, and you hear lots of stuff which is mostly shirky in its nature and it's un-Islamic and all these kind of things, I think that there's a real importance that we have to go through some of these materials, but at the same time we need to be very careful in the way that we're taking stuff in. So with me, when I'm listening to a Muslim or I'm listening to a non-Muslim, my frame is very different. I've got a filter on that is actually catching the dirt. So if you imagine you've got a water filter where it captures all the dirt before the water comes out, that's how I listen to non-Muslims most of the time in terms of self-help. Why? Because I know that their foundation and their basis is not like Muslims, and therefore there's going to be issues, there's going to be problems in there. So the way I'm listening to it is very different. And then when I catch something like this energy thing, right, I'm like, how does this fit with Islam? Okay, does Islam agree with this? Because if Islam agrees with it, we can agree with what they're saying completely, no problem, right? But if Islam disagrees with this, or there's got some shirk in it, or this or that, then I'm like, no, okay, obviously I don't believe that. And even in your head you say that, I don't believe this, I reject this, but I can see how this is similar to XYZ concept in Islam, right? Because I think that a lot of these things, they are actually based on Islamic principles and guidance from Allah. It might have been in other books to other messengers, but fundamentally there's a lot of guidance that is in there. So we don't have to disregard all of it, but we just got to be careful that our iman is protected. And I would try and link these things to what I know from Islam rather than trying to do that. And like you said, finding a replacement, I think it's a good way where you look at the situation, you say, Islamically, what would be the thing for this? This is the thing. Like, for example, I'm doing something on Islamic productivity hacks and stuff, and I'm thinking about all the rich people who say work in the morning is really good for you, right? I'm like, okay, how does that link with Islam? The Prophet said that he made dua for his ummah for the morning. So there's massive barakah. So we know that already, that's true because the Prophet said it. So we can go with that rather than, oh yeah, James Clear said this and that. What I would do, firstly, I'll be very calm about what's being said. I'll be very clear that what's being said, if wrong, it's wrong, I'll say it's wrong in my mind, but I wouldn't be trying to replace every single thing they're saying with, if someone says, oh yeah, we are the energy of the universe is our sun, okay, cool, like you said that, carry on, what's next? I wouldn't try and take every single thing and try and find an Islamic alternative, or how does that fit to Islam? Because that's the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to just let it sit with you and take it. And then if there's things that people say, it really depends. If someone says, look, we're part of the universe is part of us, I'm like, yeah, okay, makes sense. I'm in the universe, I get it, we're part of the universe. But if you're saying, no, you're a part of Allah, Allah is inside you and God is inside every tree, and I'm like, no, of course I don't agree with that. And I'm not even going to find a replacement for that because it's just nonsense. So in essence, what I'm saying is that I would actually, although I would have a filter on, my filter is actually on a very low level as I'm listening to stuff. Because if someone says something obvious, like imagine you're reading a Christian book, right? And they say something like Jesus is this and that. I'm not going to be like, oh, okay. No, I know I'm listening to a Christian book. Of course he's going to have that stuff. If I'm listening to a Buddhist monk, he's going to have some shirk in there. I understand that that's going to come there. So my filters are quite low. And like I said, I wouldn't try and find a replacement for each of these things. But I would look, if there's a really important concept, like I found in Tony Robbins when he talks about the quality of your life is related to the quality of your relationships, and there was a Harvard study about it and everything. And then when I linked that to Islam, I was like, how does this relate to Islam? I'm like, he said, I was only sent to perfect akhlaq. I'm like, akhlaq, relationships, whoa, okay, I can see how that links. And I made a whole thing out of it in terms of content. I can see how sometimes you could do that, but like I said, I would expect stuff to come like that. I would keep my filters on low, and I wouldn't necessarily try and find an answer to everything that they're doing. Because what I'm saying is, like, imagine I was going through a thing with Tony Robbins, right? He's like, okay, close your eyes, we're going to do this activity together. I don't want to spend the whole activity trying to rationalize Islam with what he's saying. Why? Because it's going to take away from the activity that I'm doing. Right? Now in the moment I might replace it. He might say the light shines down. I'm like, yeah, Allah's blessings shine down on me. I'm like, okay, good, let's replace it and move on. But like I said, I just wouldn't go too deep on this stuff. I would just get through it. I have that mentality of get through it rather than stop and try and focus, because a lot of these activities are like just that moment, just going through it rather than trying to rationalize, logicize all of that stuff. And that's what I would be careful of.